Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me. Since it's just a one-time share, there's a certain nekuda that I like to share very often, that even though it's not negaya to the Zman, but I think it's something that's relevant throughout the whole year, even though it comes from a certain sicha, Chayei Sarah and base. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the sicha. But there's a certain detail that I happen to have discovered through this sefer right here, this Ramachus that has the pianuchim. They bring in the footnotes basically what the Rebbe alludes to. The Rebbe puts a source, and I don't know about you, but at least for me, I always say, okay, I'll look up the source later when I have time. Never get around to it. Years go by, and you never look up the source. So happens to be, there's a very geschmack in the Nekuda over here that comes out at the beginning of the sicha if you look at the Ma'amar Temis that the Rebbe brings. So the beginning of the sicha is well known, that the Rebbe talks about the concept that there are chiddushim that sometimes happen in the Shlichus, that the Shlichus is not a static concept, it's something that evolves over time, right? We always have the inyan of ani nivresi v'shamish es koini, that I was created to serve the Eibishter, created to make a dir b'tachtoinim, and the way that we do that is through Torah and mitzvahs, right? Ramach mitzvahs osei, shasam mitzvahs loisei. That's consistent always. And yet, nevertheless, within the framework of Torah and mitzvahs, there can be evolution, there can be chiddush, there can be innovation. So, we know this very well just from the Rebbe's Nesius, that over time the Rebbe came out with new things. You know, there was a time in the Rebbe's Nesius where there was no such thing as mitzvah tefillin, if you could imagine. Right? There was a time when we had no inyan to put on Rebbeinu Tam. There was a time when we didn't learn Rambam yet. You know, the Avodah changes over time. As the Rebbe comes out with new things, it means that now has become the time to do that thing. Not that there was anything missing before. Before, this wasn't an inyan, and now it is an inyan. And so this is what the Rebbe says at Chayei Sarah, at the beginning of the sicha of Chayei Sarah and base, that there's a new chiddush in the Shlichus. The Shlichus has evolved, it's reached a new point, a new thing that needs to be accomplished. And the Rebbe says that not only is this thing a prat or a klal, it's not just a detail or like a generally relevant thing. It's actually the Shaar. It's the Shaar of the whole of Avodas Hashem. It's a gateway through which all of the other Kinus HaShluchim go up to the Eibishter. So on this word Shaar, the Rebbe puts references to 3 sichas and 1 maimer of the Friedrich Rebbe. And if you look at what the Friedrich Rebbe says in those sources, it sheds a lot of light on this idea of what it means that there's a Shaar of the Shlichus. So what I want to do is, I want to learn inside one of the sichas, the first sicha that the Rebbe quotes, and then right? Everybody can, then there's more time. I encourage you to look at the rest of the sources on your own. You see that they're all basically bringing out the same idea, so that's why I want to spend the time on one, and then we'll talk about some other things. So this sicha, this is the first one that the Rebbe quotes, is from Sefer Sichas Tav Shin. So that's the Friedrich Rebbe, and the Friedrich Rebbe says like this: Be'echad mi'maimarei HaKadosh Amar Rabbeinu Nishmas Eidin Lifnei Talmidei Cheder Aleph B'Shnas Tav Kuf Lamed Vav. One of the Maimarim that the Alter Rebbe said to one of the Chadarim. Az Amar HaRebbe Maimarim Ketzarim. The Alter Rebbe was saying short Maimarim then. Amar, he said like this: Kol neshama yesh la shlichus levatzei ba'olam hatachten. Every neshama has a shlichus to carry out, to express in the lower world. Zohi hakavana haklalis b'yeridas haneshama v'guf. This is the kavana and the neshama coming down into a body. U'lechol neshama yesh mitzvah pratis u'mida pratis she'alei alasek ba u'lasachna. Every neshama has a specific mitzvah and a specific midah that it has to be involved with and that it has to fix. Zehu Masher Rav Yosef Shoel es Rav Yosef Berei de Rabba, and this is what one of the Chachamim asked another one of the Chachamim. Avucha b'may hava zayir tfei. He said, your father, what is he the most careful with? Now, says Alter Rebbe, this is a little bit of a peculiar question. Says La mitase shel davar. The truth of the matter is, harei al tehi yeshev v'shekel b'mitzvah shel Torah. You're not supposed to sit and weigh what is the most important mitzvah? Is this mitzvah more important, less important? These are all Hashem's mitzvahs, right? This is all Hashem's ratzon. So how could you evaluate what's more important? Elder Rav Yosef Shoyal. So rather, what Rav Yosef is asking is, Avucha b'mayha v'zahir tfei. What was your father the most careful with? Eze mitzvah ha'ira boy. The Alter Rebbe touches it up. Zahir doesn't only mean careful; it also means like shining. Which mitzvah shined by him the most? Shekein oisa mitzvah he mitzvah pratis shel Rabba, because that mitzvah is the specific mitzvah of Rabba, or was the specific mitzvah of Rabba. Hakavana hapratis b'chol adam. The kavana hapratis, which is a very interesting term. Kavana pratis means that the Eibishter has a plan in general, but he also has a plan for each one of us in particular. Right? So
it's like hashgacha pratis?
Hashgacha pratis, but it's more in the sense of what is your mission. So even though we all have to do Torah mitzvahs, but there's a certain mitzvah that Hashem sort of has in mind for you, so to speak, that has to be your main thing. And the Rebbe is connecting that idea of kavana pratis to the Shaar. In other words, it gives an understanding of what Shaar means. That Shaar is, the Eibishter has a kavana that's very specific that is supposed to be involved in this thing. So the Alter Rebbe says, "Hakavana hapratis b'chol adam." This special kavana that the Eibishter has with each person, he zeh hashar la'Hashem hapratis shaloi. This is again using the word Shaar based on the pasuk zeh hashar la'Hashem. This is the gate to Hashem. Hapratis shaloi, the specific one for that person. So your kavana pratis is your gate to connect to Hashem, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's like saying that if I'm doing not just the general mission that Hashem has for me, but the specific mission that Hashem has for me, then I'm going to be more connected to Him. It really makes a lot of sense.
How do you know what your specific directive one?
So we'll talk about that soon. Like it says in the Zayar that this is the gate to Lamaila. Shaar meshamish leknisa v'yitzia, and a gate is something that's used for going in and going out. Hakavana hapratis hi hashar shel kol hamitzvahs she'adam mekayim. This kavana is the gate for all the mitzvahs that a person fulfills. HaTorah shu leimed v'amidas tevis v'avos Yisrael shu neig behen. The Torah that he learns and the good midas and the avos Yisrael that he has. Oilim la'Hashem darkoi, they all go up to Hashem through this gate. He says one other point, but let's just talk about that for a second. So, what that means is, this gate is something that connects your other mitzvahs to Hashem. We don't always think about that. It's an interesting idea that we think a mitzvah connects me to Hashem. That's how we always talk about it, and that's true. And yet, the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying over here, I'm quoting the Alter Rebbe, that this mitzvah that's your Shaar, whichever one it might be, actually connects your other mitzvahs to Hashem. Like your other mitzvahs need help connecting to Hashem. It's not something that's spoken about so often, but that's what we're saying over here. That without this Shaar, so the other mitzvahs don't go up properly. They don't connect the way they're supposed to. They still connect, of course, but not exactly the way they should, not in the full shleimus that they should. So that brings out how fundamental of a concept in Avodas Hashem this idea of a Shaar is, because it affects everything else. It affects the things of everything else. In other words, if you imagine that, suppose that your Shaar, I'll pick on myself. Suppose my Shaar was to learn Seder Nezikin, Bava Basra, and Bava Kama. Yeah, I'm not so into these things. If that were my Shaar, so I think that I do a lot of good things with my time, but I don't really do a whole lot of that. So if that would be my Shaar, that would be a little bit of a problem for me, because it means the Eibishter has the specific kavana that I'm supposed to be learning these Gemaras, and I'm not doing that. So it's great that I'm doing all other things, and it's still very holy and so on, but there's something missing if this is the Eibishter's kavana pratis for me. Right? And so automatically, that means there's something that could be improved in my connection if I would be doing that Shaar. Yeah? So that's the first point that the Frierdiker Rebbe says over here about the Shaar. Then the second point, and this is where they stop quoting the sicha over here, through this Shaar of the kavana pratis, the specific kavana for every person, nimshach la'adam shefa bracha hel yena beruchnis v'gashmis. Through that, you get the shefa, the flow from the Eibishter that becomes your gashmistic and ruchnistic brachas. Yeah? If you ask me, that line means it's Pashat Avos Yisrael to be Mefarsim in this Indian of a Shaar, because it's Pashat helping you get Gashmis and Ruchnis. Yeah?
Every time the Rebbe gives a sicha, it's always Yisrael.
Yeah. It's just... So, but I'm saying it's Avos Yisrael for us. It's Avos Yisrael for us to help. If we could find a way to do it, then it would be major Avos. What? We'll get there in a second. 1 second. So if I would know what the Shaar is, right, for a particular person, then it would be big Avos Yisrael for me to tell this person that that's their Shaar and help them get involved in it, because that's all their ruchnius and gashmis. That's how their mitzvahs are going to connect to Hashem properly.
If you know what a Shaar is.
If you know what the Shaar is, right? So what becomes the big question? If I'm taking my avodas Hashem seriously, and now I learned about this concept of the Shaar for the first time. So what would be the first thing that I would want to know? What would be the first thing that I would do? Everybody's talking about it
Ask
already.
Mishpia.
Ask your mashpia. Okay, but more generally, you should ask your mashpia. But more generally, I want to know what is my Shaar, right? If I realize this, if I deher this a little bit, I shouldn't be able to live without knowing what's my Shaar. All my Torah mitzvahs go up through this. All my ruchnis and gashmis are coming through this. It's the yesod of my avodas Hashem to know what's my Shaar. How could I live without knowing it? Yeah. So ideally, what would I love to do? I would really want to. You can ask me mashpia. I was going to say I would run to Yechidus if I could, right? And if I had a 30-second Yechidus with the Rebbe, I would say, "What's my Shaar?" That's the one thing I gotta know. Everything else is going to flow from there. If I know my Shaar and I put myself into that, everything's going to flow. Right? My other Torah mitzvahs will connect properly. I'll get the bracha, baruchnis, and begashmis. That's what it's saying over here.
Is that like when you write to the Rebbe and he tells you specific thing to do? Like,
Not necessarily.
I don't learn that way. That's not my sheet to CP.
So
Very snatch.
So what I would want to do is run to the Rebbe and find out from the Rebbe what's my Shaar, right? I have to know. It's Negei B'Nefesh.
And now it's Gimel Thomas.
So now we can't ask the Rebbe. So now what are we going to do? So the answer is right here. The answer is, not that I'm saying we don't need the Rebbe, we don't need the Chiddush, of course we do, but the information is right here. The Rebbe bevarns everything. Yeah? And the Rebbe tells us, this is the translation over here, the original sicha is in Yiddish, Miteisef mizman lezman, chiddush b'shlichus. There becomes from time to time a chiddush in the shlichus. Shlichus miyuchedes, a special shlichus. She chayderes es kol inyani ha-shlichus v'hinasis ha-shaar. That's where the footnote is. Shal yodei elim kol inyani ha-shlichus. Yeah? Sometimes it happens that there's a new thing in the shlichus, there's a new Shaar. And al achas kama v'nidin didan, how much more so in our case, shehu chiddush klali v'ikri she'enei rak prat, the klal b'shlichus, elahu ikir v'inyan klali v'yeser, v'ad shehu inyan hachi klali b'teira, hachana l'biyas ha-mashiach, shemachiv es kol ha-nukudis v'apradim shal v'edis ha-shlichus. Yeah, so the Rebbe is saying this is not only a Shaar, this is like how much more so in our case that this is the most fundamental thing in the whole Yiddishkeit that we have to prepare for Mashiach. And of course we all know the Lashon that the Rebbe goes on to say that what's needed to be done is that we should liyes muchanim b'peil l'kobalos b'nei Mashiach tzikenu b'peil mamish. We have to accept Mashiach b'peil mamish. That's how the Rebbe concludes the hemshech of that idea.
So did the Rebbe just say that that's all of our shores to connect?
Exactly, that's exactly what it's saying. And that it says in the panim of the sicha, that's not a chiddush. That's what it says straight. What I'm trying to bring out is that there's a whole depth to what it means, the Shaar, that this is how all our Torah mitzvahs connect. This is how our Gashmis and Ruchnis comes through this. And it's our Kavana Pratis. And the Rebbe is saying, we all know that the Rebbe said that. That's the panim of the sicha. I'm not saying that. We all know that the Rebbe is saying that Shaar, for all of us who are Shluchim, like the Rebbe says later in the sicha, that every year there's a Shliach. So, for all of us, the Shaar of the Shlichus is this Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'Peil Mamish. So automatically it has to be something that's Negei B'Nefesh, because all of our Torah and mitzvahs, in other words, if we would be doing everything b'shleimus and not preparing for Mashiach, not thinking about Mashiach, not wanting Mashiach, not koching Mashiach, it's all amazing, but there's something very fundamental that's missing, right? Just like I said in my example of if my Shaar is to learn Bava Basra and I'm doing everything else but learning Bava Basra, there's something missing, because the Eibusher has that kavanah for me. So what the Rebbe is saying is that for us now, it's a chiddush that happened around the time of Chayei Sarah and Beis, at the Kinus HaShluchim, when the Rebbe said the sicha. This became the Shaar for everyone, and this is what we have to do. So what's pshat kabbalas pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu? It's almost like I told you to ask that question. So the sicha Chayei Sarah and Beis is a very long sicha, and there's a lot of deep ideas, Yichud Ma'aban, and Shlichus, and the Moshe Rabbeinu, and all kinds of things. So sometimes I've seen in discussions with people that sometimes the practical part of the sicha gets a little bit lost, because it's all the way at the end when the Rebbe finally comes with the pashut, straight out, Hira, Machshav Dibur Maaseh. It's all the way at the end of the sicha. So now that we have this realization of what the Rebbe is saying in the Shaar, so it's obvious there's something tangible that the Rebbe is expecting us to do. So I think we should just, it's kedai to learn inside now that small part of the sicha where the Rebbe talks about what to do practically.
This is the same sicha?
Same sicha. This is Ois Yud Dalet. I'm changing because this is in Lashon HaKodesh and this is in Yiddish. And then at the end I'll squeeze in one more Meir Malcolm from here. So the Rebbe says like this. Derfun hat men die Hera bepeil was man darf Reis nehmen ständig der bei der Haschala Sicha von dem Kinus HaShluchim ha'ilami. Now we have the Hera bepeil that we need to take out from the Kinus HaShluchim. L'chol the Reish darf men Reis kommen mit der Hachraza v'Heda zu alle Shluchim. We have to come out with an announcement to all of the Shluchim. Very interesting that the Rebbe says that, by the way. Just stam. The Rebbe was talking to the Shluchim, and the Rebbe says to make an announcement to the Shluchim. Interesting, yeah? But whatever, that's a hergish already. Some Shluchim were not there, or maybe it's possible to forget over time, or whatever. Okay. Anyway, that's a hergish. As the Avodas HaShlichus, it's there. The Avodas HaShlichus now, unfun jeder Yidin. There we see clear. I even forgot that I said that. Unfun jeder Yidin, from every single Jew, besteht in them as mazol mekabel zayin pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Right? It's expressed in this that we have to accept Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Again, what does that mean? It's funny. Every time I talk to someone about Chayei Sarah and Beis, which is one of my favorite sichas, I speak about it a lot. Very often it's kabbalas pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu, and then another person says whatever that means. So it's very interesting, as the Rebbe says here, Makabel zayin pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu, and the Rebbe says, das haste. What does das haste mean? That means. This means. It's like the Rebbe knew that we were all going to be sitting here saying whatever that means. You know, all these years later. So the Rebbe says, this means. I never saw that before in a sicha. I don't know. Anyway, all of the details of the Shlichus and spreading Torah and Yiddishkeit and spreading Chassidus. Darfen sein durchgenommen mit der Nekuda, wie das führt zu Kabbalas Mashiach Tzidkeinu. They all have to be permeated with this point of how does this lead to the accepting of Mashiach. Now that itself we could bring about. That hira itself we could open up and say, okay, what's a Chassidus shir that's durchgenommen with Mashiach? What's a Nigla shir that's durchgenommen with Mashiach? What's a Parsha shir that's durchgenommen with Mashiach? What's Mivtzoyim that's durchgenommen with Mashiach? What's a Verbrengen that's durchgenommen with Mashiach? We could open up that paragraph for hours, but that's Verbrengen style. But we should have a Verbrengen, and we should do that. Talk about
what does it mean? What is
I think each prat you have to think about specifically. In other words, what does a Verbrengen look like? If a Verbrengen is with Mashiach, what does Mitzvah Tefillin look like if it's working with Mashiach? The answer is not going to be the same. So Mivtzoyim might be Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. You know what Rashi says on Shema Yisrael? Anybody remember? It's funny, we're used to seeing Shema in the Siddur, we forget what it says in Chumash. Rashi says on Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that Hashem is now our God. There's going to be a time when He's God of the whole world. Pshutei Shal Mikra on Shema Yisrael that we have everybody say on Mivtzoyim is that there's going to be Mashiach who's going to make the God of the Jews the God of the whole world. Pashat Pshat. One example of what it could mean, after one way that Mivtzoyim could be a little more darker than with Mashiach. Yeah, but let's not. But let's see, because the Rebbe says even something more practical than that. That we could forbring and we could open up for a long time. But I want to keep moving. So the Rebbe says, Wie unterstrachen in dem Neusei Kinus, Kol Yemei Chayecha Lahavi Yemei Mashiach, it is emphasized in the theme of the Kinus. Kol Yemei Chayecha Lahavi Yemei Mashiach, all the days of your life, to bring the days of Mashiach. Alla Inyane Aveda, B'chol Yemei Chayecha, B'chol Yem Atzmei, B'chol Pradei, B'shoy Sayem. So there is not just every day, every minute, every detail and every hour of the day. Darfen Zayin Durch Yinumen Mit Halahavi Yemei Mashiach. They have to be permeated with this, that I'm bringing Mashiach. Nit blois the rabbis, wie es steht bekoimes, as der Shliach steht und wart bis Mashiach. Not only this, the Rebbe is using the limudim from the pasuk to bring out that it's not just that we're waiting for Mashiach. Wart bis Mashiach, wird kommen und demult wird in dem eintel nehmen und der fun hana haben v'chulu. So it's not just that the Shliach is waiting for Mashiach to come and then he's going to enjoy it and have hana and so on. Nor lahavi, rather he's bringing tut kol atalui boy to bring in limaisa Mashiach lashon rabim nit blois de aschala fun ein tag nor fun yemais lashon rabim yemaisa Mashiach und nit nor when Mashiach is becheskas Mashiach nor alle yemaisa Mashiach euch the shleimes fun Mashiach vadai v'chulu. Okay, that's a separate for bringing what the Rebbe is trying to bring out without Cheskas Mashiach Mashiach Vadai, but the next paragraph is the key. Ubapashtus meintas, simply this means, finally this is, again, meintas, yeah, simply this means, as fundem Kinus HaShluchim, darf men kommen und havi hachlados tevis wie jeder Shliach darf sich allein zu greiten und allein zu greiten, he has to get himself ready, und zu greiten alle Yidden im Koimai uve Ira v'chulu, and he has to get all of the Jews in his place and his city ready zu mekabel sein pnei Mashiach tzikenu, to accept Mashiach durch dem was, that's the key. Through this, finally after all of that build up, here's the key. Through this, that is masber dem inyan von Mashiach, he explains the concept of Mashiach, kemavur b'teresh v'sav b'teresh v'peh, Ba'oifen ha'meskabel together in the fi sichlei v'avanase. There's a lot of talk about ba'oifen ha'meskabel. There's not a lot of talk about the words that it says right before ba'oifen ha'meskabel. The Rebbe says to be masber zayin, the inyan of Mashiach, the way it's explained in the Torah. Pasha teach Yidden Torah about Mashiach. At the end of the whole build-up, that's the most clear, straight, practical Torah. Teach the Yidden in every place the concepts of Mashiach, the way they're explained in the Torah.
It's not the same word as was it before, but in the Kalpem Shazakeno, everything and every avoid that you do, whatever it is, it should be, permeated with Mashiach. This is more like Pashat Lumen Young Mashiach. This is like telling you learning Young Mashiach with others. Before we're saying, whenever you're putting on tefillin, it should be somehow with Mashiach somehow.
Right. So the question is, are they two different heroes in the same sicha? Are they connected to each other? Let's see. So Kelo b'miyuchad, including and especially durch limud in Yonei Mashiach Geula, especially through learning Mashiach Geula, befrat ba'ifin von Chachma Bina v'das, and especially in a way we're all familiar with the concept of Chachma Bina and Das. That first you believe, and then you understand it, and then you internalize it, changes your emotions, right? Und heyos as das is there the avodah von dem Zman, since this is the avodah of the time, is move on as das is shaykh to jeder jeden on oisnam kla. This is shaykh to every single Jew without exception at all. So there again we have the answer to the question. Is the Rebbe saying that this is the Shaar for every single one of us? I think clearly you have the answer is yes.
Meaning Amol, everyone had their own Shaar, and now everyone has the same Shaar.
So that's a good question. There's a whole pilpul also in the thing over here about whether a person could have two Shaarim because mitzad Gilgal or something like that. There's a whole thing.
It says that. I'm just thinking when you were saying it. It says there that everyone's own Shlichus has to be durchgenommen with Mashiach.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of that everyone has their own avoid in this world, but the general Shaar of the Dur is to bring Mashiach, so their Shlichus has to be connected with Mashiach.
As if to say that maybe what the Rebbe is saying, maybe we can discuss it more, but maybe what the Rebbe is saying is that the Shaar is not so much about what is your pratistic task that you're doing. Even though we all obviously are going to have our tasks, some people are going to be malabdim, some people are going to be this, some people are going to be that. Obviously, that doesn't go away. But the Shaar is that whatever your task is, the Shaar is not the task itself. The Shaar is that task should be durchgenommen with Mashiach. In other words, it's not a it's not only a specific Hira, even though here the Rebbe does give a specific Hira that you have to teach people about Mashiach, but it's also the Dorch Numenkeit. It's the fact that Mashiach is in everything else. So just to plug that back into our original understanding of the Shaar,
So it's two separate things, or is it not?
So-
two separate details.
it could be Ma'ayin and exactly the pilpul, but the Ginegei the Pearl, right, which to me is the most important thing. So the Rebbe is saying really three things. One is that everything has to be Dorchinu with Mashiach. The other one is to live in the way of the Havi and Mesa Mashiach, that every moment of my day, Kol Yemei Chayach al Havi Mesa Mashiach, I'm always trying to bring Mashiach, and that's always on my mind, that's my goal. And the third thing is that the Rebbe says Pasha to go and explain the idea of Mashiach by teaching in Yanigul Mashiach. You could always be Ma'ayin more in the Fapol and the Pratim, but I want to stick to what's in the Gale Pol. Yeah? Does everybody agree? We have those three heroes?
Wait, don't leave. We need to remind him. Hello.
He's opening the door.
What?
The three heroes, you see, one is that everything has to be Dorchinum with Mashiach.
He's down there?
I don't hear.
Another one is
What is Dorkin?
Dorchinum means permeated. So all the details have to be permeated with Mashiach. Two is Kol Yemei Chayach al Havi Mesa Mashiach, that every minute of my life I feel like my mission is to bring Mashiach. And three is that I go and teach Yidden in every place, wherever place I am, I'm teaching them the concepts of Mashiach the way that they are explained in the Torah. Torah Shebeksav and Torah Shebal Peh, which means the Nevi'im, the Gemara, everything. Not only Chassidus, not only Nigla, the whole works, wherever it talks about Mashiach, explain it to people. Yeah?
What's about this? One more thing from here, you said? You have something about the sicha?
Yeah, so I want to finish off, but as long as we have those three heroes very clear, so now we've overcome a big Yetzer Hara, which is to think that there's nothing concrete that comes out of this sicha. There is something, there's at least these three things that are very, very concrete, what it means, Kabbal's Pnei Mashiach Tzekenu. Right? Agreed? So now,
That's the meaning of the Kabbalah
yeah, I don't want to limit it to that. I think we could always be ma'ayin and sicha more and see, but those three heroes are clearly there. Yeah. And the Rebbe says that's the Shlichus of every Yid. And at the beginning of the sicha, the Rebbe said that this is the Shaar of the Shlichus, which is the main point that I wanted to bring out. That this connects your other avodah to Hashem. It makes it all the shleimus. It brings it all to what it's supposed to be, and that has the proper results in terms of brachas, baruch nisu v'gashmis. Now, I just want to address one other thing that also comes up in a lot of discussions.
It's in English.
This is English and Hebrew, both. So I discovered this very recently. I was learning through the Sefer this year on Gimel Tammuz. Just wanted to see Pashat Rebbe Seirais. That was what I felt like doing Gimel Tammuz. And I found something fascinating. In a sicha, so it turns out that this Chayei Sarah is not the first time that the Rebbe came and said, this avodah is the Shaar of now. It's not the first time it happened. In fact, I heard that in Memches, the Rebbe said it by Hakel, but I never saw the source, but I'm sure that it's true. But I found a sicha from Mem Zayin where the Rebbe speaks about making every house a Chabad house, attaching a pushka to the wall. Maybe you're familiar with these things. And the Rebbe says at the end of the sicha something very profound that addresses a very important question. The very important question is, what? It's in Mem Zayin, it's from the Sefer, you can check exactly what sicha. It doesn't say right here, but the Rebbe addresses a very important question, which is that, so if I have this Shaar, so what about everything else? Isn't everything else also important? So what, you're going to tell me we shouldn't learn Gemara anymore, we should learn Yanigul Mashiach all day? I get that a lot. I hear it a lot. And the Rebbe addresses it right here.
He said everybody knows that's only the Shaar through. Shaar means
So,
the gates.
right, that's true. You can answer already from this sicha that it's about the Dorchi
To
Numenkeit.
walk through.
Yeah. But, so that's what I normally answered up until I found this piece that I think just makes it so clear. Okay, so the Rebbe says like this. But again, to something that the Rebbe, something else, in Mem Zayin, that's also an interesting point. In Mem Zayin, the Rebbe is saying the Shaar is something else. In Mem Beis, it already changed. Yeah. So this is what the Rebbe says about that mitzvah that he said was the Shaar in Tavshin Mem Zayin. So the Rebbe says like this: Koleimar, ein lasek bekach kedavar neisaf bein Shaar in yonei ha'avodah. We shouldn't get involved in this thing like an additional thing, Mem Zayin, like an additional, this making Batei Chabad, the Torah Avodah and Gemilas Chesadim in every house. So the Rebbe says, "Ein lasek b'kach kedavar neisav ben shar and yonei avodah." We should not be involved in this like something additional among all of the other aspects of avodah. Elazu tzarich aliyes ha'avodah ha'ikris v'hareshis shel hashana haba. This needs to be the main avodah and the beginning of the coming year. Ubulashna yedua mitzvah dahave zahir tvei. This should be the mitzvah that is zahir tvei, that shines the most, or that you're most careful with. Ubulashna ha'kabbalah ha'chassidus, and in the words of Kabbalah and Chassidus, hashar shedarkei eilim kol inyanei Torah mitzvos. So the Rebbe says, this thing that I'm talking about now in Mem Zayin is the Shaar. So we don't just deal with it like an additional detail. And now the Rebbe says even more practical. Ukumuvan v'gam pashut, as is understood and also simple. Ein inyan zeh dehavei zahir tfei goyreach has v'sholem me'shar ha'inyanim. This thing that's the Shaar, the zahir tfei, it doesn't take away chas v'sholem from any of the other inyanim. But adrabah, on the contrary, drusha tesefes v'hiskabris chadasha b'chol inyanei avodah. We need a new strength in all aspects of avodah, even the things which are not the Shaar. Ela shebezeh gufa tzarich liyes hadgasha miyuchedes be'inyan zeh sheboi havei zahir tfei. Rather, within this itself, within this general strengthening of our entire avodas Hashem, so there needs to be a special emphasis on this thing which is the zahir tfei. V'adrabah kevan she'inyan zeh nasa Shaar l'chol inyanim ha'cherim. Since this idea, this concept is the Shaar for all of the other things, Harei kol heisafa v'chiddush b'Shaar mevia leheisafa v'chiddush b'chol inyanei ha'avodah. Every addition and chiddush in the Shaar brings to heisafa and chiddush in everything else. In other words, we're not saying to replace anything with this Shaar. We're saying if you go through this Shaar, it brings everything else to its shleimus. It connects everything else to Hashem properly. It fulfills the kavanah pratis. It brings you brachas, gashmis of ruchnis, and pashut practically. Now that I was saying over here that it brings all of the other avodah to shleimus, pashut practically, you'll be on a higher madrega in all the other things you're trying to do if you add in this Shaar. In other words, if you invest in the Shaar, everything else goes. And when we
So it's like every mitzvah.
and not just to go to Inyan Gul Mashiach Shir, but make everything Dork and Numen. The point of going to the Shir is not that, okay, I went to this Shir, and I hope that this Shir will be the one that brings Mashiach, and if not, we'll try again next week. No. The Shir is meant to transform you, to make everything else Dork and Numen, because that's the Shaar, is the Dork and Numen.
So
You should see everything B'Pel Mamish, starting with the Guru Litis Mashleim.